I know how this sounds. I already know what people would call me if they heard this story. Obsessed. Pathetic. A simp. Maybe even a stalker. But this is my life. And I don't know what to do with it anymore. I'm a 28-year-old man. I'm a doctor. And I've loved my fiancée since I was a teenager. We met when I was 15 and she was 14. The kind of girl you see once and remember for years. Beautiful, yes, but that wasn't all of it. She was warm. Funny. Always smiling, even though her home life was complicated and heavy. She carried a lot, but you'd never know it by looking at her. She was also honest about one thing from the very beginning. She wanted a good life. She wanted comfort. She wanted stability. And she said it clearly, she would only marry a doctor. Some people would have laughed and walked away. I didn't. I wasn't a great student back then. Not stupid, but not exceptional either. And in India, becoming a doctor isn't just about working hard. It's about surviving brutal competition. Government medical colleges are the only realistic option for middle-class families, and the entrance exams destroy people. But I accepted it. Completely. I built my entire future around that sentence. For 2 years after high school, I stayed home and studied nonstop, trying to clear the entrance exam. She went on with her life. College. Friends. Dating other people. She was clear that we were just friends, and I respected that. At least on the outside. Inside my head, though, I was already married to her. I told myself that one day, when I became a doctor, everything would fall into place. And eventually, it did. I got into medical school. And something changed. She became warmer. Closer. She broke up with her boyfriend. After a while, we started dating. Medical school was long and exhausting. While I was still studying, she had already graduated and started teaching at a secondary school. The pay wasn't great. The job wasn't stable. But she stayed with me. Through all of it. When I finally graduated and started working at a hospital, the pay was good. The hours were brutal, but I was finally what she had wanted. Her parents were happy too. In our culture, a doctor as a son-in-law is a dream. We got engaged. We planned a future. We would have married already, but I started post-graduation in dermatology, which is intense. Long shifts. Little sleep. No time for weddings, even my own. I thought we were solid. Then, 2 weeks ago, something small happened. She had red spots on her back. I examined her and thought they were insect bites. Possibly bed bugs. She panicked. I reassured her. We checked both our places. Found nothing obvious. I told her I might have been wrong and suggested blood tests, just to be safe. She was scared of needles, but she agreed. The next day, she came to the hospital after school. With a male colleague. I'd met him before. We were polite. Professional. We sent her blood samples to the lab, and while we were waiting, I made small talk with him. Asked him where he lived. And the moment he answered, something clicked in my head. That area. In dermatology, we see patients from that area all the time. Papular urticaria. Insect bites. It's common there because of nearby swamps that dry up in summer. Without thinking, I asked him if he had any red swellings on his body. He said yes. Then immediately backtracked. Said it was probably just mosquitoes. But it was already too late. Something inside me woke up. I took my fiancée home. Her tests came back normal. The bites cleared up in a few days. Everything looked fine. Except me. I couldn't shake the feeling. One night, while she was asleep, I checked her phone. I had never done that before. Not once in all these years. I found nothing. The next day, ashamed of myself, I followed her after work. She went straight home. I told myself I was an awful person for even suspecting her. But I did it again. And again. On the third day, she left school with that colleague. And I watched them go to his house. That's when my world collapsed. I had loved her my entire life. I had reshaped myself for her. I became a doctor for her. And this was how it ended. I didn't confront her. I didn't scream. I didn't cry in front of her. I said nothing. Because without her, I don't know who I am. I keep asking myself the same questions over and over. What did I lack? What did he have that I didn't? Why did I work this hard if this was always the ending? I know how this sounds. I know I sound bitter. Angry. Maybe even arrogant. I said things in my head I never thought I would. I compared incomes, status, futures. And then I hated myself for even thinking that way. This wasn't about money. This was about meaning. I had built my entire identity around being worthy of her. Every exam, every sleepless night, every sacrifice. All of it was tied to one idea: one day, she'll choose me completely. And for years, I believed she had. She was perfect to me. Supportive. Loving. Gentle. I'd come home exhausted and sleep with my head in her lap while she played with my hair. She listened to my worries. She stood by me through medical school. Through residency. Through everything. So how could this be real? Why stay with me all these years if this is what she wanted? I don't have many close friends. I never needed them. She was my world. My safe place. My future. And now I'm sitting alone with a truth I don't know how to carry. I haven't told my family. I can't. Once I say it out loud, it becomes real. Permanent. Public. I don't want pity. I don't want questions. I don't want anyone looking at me like I failed. So I stay silent. I go to work. I treat patients. I function. Barely. And inside, I'm stuck on one thought I can't escape. If I changed everything about myself for love, and it still wasn't enough, then what was any of it for? I don't know how to confront her. I don't know how to leave. And I don't know how to stay. All I know is that the life I built around her just collapsed. And I'm standing in the ruins, trying to figure out who I am without the one person I shaped myself to deserve. After everything came out, I did something I never thought I'd do. I asked strangers for help. I wrote everything down. Every ugly thought. Every insecurity. Every detail that made me look weak. I expected silence. Or maybe a little sympathy. What I didn't expect was how hard it would hit me. Some people were kind. They told me to walk away. To choose myself. To stop living for someone who clearly wasn't choosing me. Others weren't gentle at all. They called me obsessed. Naive. Emotionally dependent. Some were outright cruel. At first, it hurt. A lot. But then something strange happened. I went numb. And that numbness gave me just enough space to breathe. For the first time in years, I started to see something clearly. Not her. Not him. Me. I saw how much of myself I had erased. How every decision, every ambition, every version of my future had been filtered through one person. I didn't become a doctor because I dreamed of it as a child. I became a doctor because I wanted to be chosen. That realization was brutal. I also realized something else. Loving someone for 13 years doesn't disappear overnight. Anyone who says it should has never been there. I don't blame myself for still loving her. I don't blame myself for being shattered. But I can't pretend anymore. I skipped duties at the hospital to follow her. I crossed lines I never thought I would. Not because I'm abusive or dangerous, but because I was losing myself. And that scared me more than the cheating. I don't know what happens next. I still haven't confronted her. I still haven't told my family. I'm still waking up every morning with the same knot in my chest. But for the first time, there's a small thought that won't leave me alone. Maybe my life doesn't end here. Maybe this isn't the story of a man who wasn't enough. Maybe it's the story of a man who forgot he was allowed to be someone on his own. I don't know how to be that person yet. But I think I have to find out. The hardest part isn't the anger. It's the quiet moments. It's waking up and reaching for my phone, wanting to text her like I've done every morning for years. And stopping myself at the last second. It's realizing I don't actually know who I am without planning my day around someone else. I replay everything in my head on a loop. The night she held me. The way she looked at me when I was exhausted. The plans we made so casually, like they were guaranteed. And then I remember her walking into another man's house. That contrast is what breaks me. I keep asking myself the same questions, over and over. Was any of it real? Did she ever truly choose me, or did she just settle? If I became everything she asked for, why wasn't it enough? There's a moment late at night when the truth gets loud. Even if she begged. Even if she cried. Even if she promised it would never happen again. I would never fully trust her. And living like that would destroy whatever is left of me. That realization doesn't make me strong. It doesn't make me brave. It just makes the path clearer. I didn't lose her because I wasn't good enough. I lost myself because I built my entire identity around being the right man for someone else. I'm still terrified. I'm still heartbroken. I'm still alone in a way I've never been before. But there's something else now, too. A thin, fragile sense of control. For the first time, the future doesn't revolve around her choices. It's empty. Unwritten. Scary as hell. And somehow, that's exactly what it needs to be. I haven't confronted her yet. Not because I don't know what to say. But because once I do, the version of my life I've been clinging to officially dies. Right now, everything exists in this strange pause. She talks to me like nothing is wrong. She laughs. She asks what I want for dinner. She touches my arm like it still belongs to her. And every time she does, something twists in my chest. I watch her and realize how dangerous love can be when it's mixed with habit. How easy it is to stay, not because things are good, but because leaving hurts more right now. What scares me most isn't losing her. It's how much of myself I gave away without noticing. I shaped my future around her preferences. Measured my worth through her approval. Mistook endurance for devotion. And now, standing here, I finally see it clearly. Love that requires you to erase yourself isn't love, it's survival. I don't hate her. I'm not even angry in the way people expect. I'm grieving. Grieving the boy who thought if he worked hard enough, loved deeply enough, sacrificed quietly enough, he would be chosen. That boy did everything right. And still got betrayed. Soon, I'll have to speak. Soon, everything will explode into words, tears, denial, maybe apologies. But tonight, I sit with the truth. I didn't fail. I didn't lose because I wasn't worthy. I lost because I made one fatal mistake. I loved someone more than I loved myself. And this time, I won't disappear to keep someone else comfortable. Even if walking away is the most painful thing I've ever done. Tomorrow, I'll confront her. Not with rage. Not with accusations rehearsed 100 times in my head. But with clarity, the kind that only comes after everything inside you finally breaks and settles. I already know how it will go. There will be shock. Then denial. Then tears. Then explanations that arrive too late to matter. She'll say it didn't mean anything. She'll say she was confused. She'll say she never stopped loving me. And that's the cruelest part. Because love that coexists with betrayal isn't love that protects you. It's love that keeps you trapped. I used to think the hardest part would be losing her. Now I understand. The hardest part is accepting that the future I imagined was built on a version of her that never truly existed. I wasn't chosen. I was convenient. I was safe. I was the long-term plan while someone else was the escape. And no amount of history can undo that truth. So when I speak, it won't be to beg. It won't be to convince her. It won't be to negotiate my worth. It will be to reclaim myself. Because I didn't become a doctor for nothing. I didn't endure years of sacrifice to end up shrinking myself to keep a lie alive. I didn't survive all this just to stay silent now. If she chooses him, I walk away. If she chooses me, I still walk, because trust doesn't resurrect on command. This isn't about revenge. It's about dignity. For the first time in my life, I'm not chasing her. I'm choosing myself. And whatever comes after this, loneliness, grief, rebuilding, will still be better than living a life where love means abandoning who I am. I don't know what happens after this. I don't know how long the silence will last. I don't know how empty the days will feel once she's no longer there. I don't know how many nights it will take before I stop reaching for my phone out of habit. What I do know is this. For the first time since I was 15, my life is no longer built around another person. That thought terrifies me. And strangely, it also feels honest. I spent years believing that love meant endurance. That if I suffered quietly enough, worked hard enough, became enough, then one day I would finally be chosen without conditions. But love isn't a reward for persistence. And commitment isn't something you earn by erasing yourself. I see that now, too late to save the relationship. But not too late to save myself. Whatever version of me comes next will have to be rebuilt slowly. Without obsession. Without chasing. Without proving my worth through sacrifice. I loved her. I truly did. And maybe that love will always exist somewhere inside me. But it will no longer decide my future. This chapter ends here. Not with closure. Not with answers. Just with the quiet understanding that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the life you planned, so you can finally live the one that's yours. There's no dramatic ending after this. No moment where everything suddenly makes sense. No instant relief. No clean break that erases 13 years of attachment. There's just mourning. Waking up and realizing she isn't the first thought anymore. And also not the last. There's work. There are patience. There are long hours where my hands are steady. Even when my chest isn't. People assume heartbreak looks loud. Mine is quiet. It sits with me while I study. While I eat. While I lie awake, staring at the ceiling. Replaying memories that now feel borrowed from another life. I don't hate her. That surprises me the most. What I feel is something colder. A distance I never thought I'd be capable of creating. Maybe one day she'll understand what she lost. Maybe she won't. That's no longer my burden. What matters is this. I no longer shape myself around someone else's expectations. I no longer chase an image of love that only exists in my head. I no longer confuse loyalty with self-erasure. I became a doctor trying to be worthy of someone. Now I stay one because it's who I am. This story doesn't end with revenge. It doesn't end with reconciliation. It ends with separation, not just from her, but from the person I used to be. And for the first time, that feels like the beginning. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't seen those marks, if I hadn't asked that one question, if I hadn't followed a feeling I tried so hard to ignore. Maybe we would be married by now. Maybe everyone would say I was lucky. Maybe I would still be convincing myself that love is supposed to hurt this much. But truth has a way of surfacing. Quietly, patiently. Until you're forced to look at it. I don't know if she ever planned to leave me. I don't know if I was meant to be her future. Or just her safety net. And I don't need to know anymore. What I know is this. I spent 13 years chasing a promise. Now I'm learning how to live without one. There's grief in that. There's anger. There's a loneliness that hits at the strangest times. But there's also something else. Space. Space to breathe. Space to exist without measuring myself against someone else's desires. Space to finally ask a question I never allowed myself to ask before. What do I want? I don't have the answer yet. But for the first time, the question belongs to me. And that's where this story truly ends. I keep thinking about everything I sacrificed, everything I became, all for someone else's expectations. Becoming a doctor, striving to be perfect, waiting for her approval, years of my life spent chasing a dream that wasn't mine. It hurts. It hurts like nothing I've felt before. But the pain is also a signal. A signal that I need to reclaim myself. That my worth isn't defined by anyone else's choices, not even hers. I'm starting to see the cracks in the illusion I built around us. The reality is harsh, yes. But it's also freeing. Because now I get to ask the hardest question of all. Who am I, if I'm not chasing someone else's love? I don't know yet. Maybe it's going to take time. Maybe it's going to be messy. Maybe I'll stumble a lot before I find solid ground. But for the first time in years, I'm walking a path that's mine. I've lost someone I loved deeply. But maybe in that loss, I can finally find myself. And maybe, just maybe, that's worth everything.